Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar on food tech trends in 2023. My name is Audrey and I'm your host for today. Now, why are food technology trends important? Here are the three key reasons we've identified. Firstly, they drive innovation. By exploring new ways of working, these advancements can lead to improvements in areas like food safety, sustainability, and the nutritional value of food. It allows the industry to stay relevant and competitive. Secondly, technology-driven solutions increases efficiency. In the last few years, the industry has seen rapid advancements and adoption in automation, artificial intelligence, and big data analytics. These tech offerings optimize supply chain management and ensure quality assurance for goods and services. Finally, food technology trends are indicators of what consumers want. They emerge and evolve with consumers' demands, and a successful business is one that is able to cater to these expectations by following food tech trends. Today, we have 5 speakers from Roquette, Biospringer, and Inform. Before we begin, here are some things to note. There will be a 3 to 5 minute window for questions after each presentation. You may type your question in the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your Zoom window. We may not be able to answer all questions during this webinar, but we will reach out to you individually should your question not be picked. So please uncheck the anonymous box before you key in your question so that the speakers can respond to you after the webinar. Now, first up, Roquette will be covering healthy aging. This is a topic of significant importance because of the Asia-Pac region's rapidly aging population and the growing concern about age-related diseases. The speakers are Marilyn Lee, Head of Marketing for Greater Asia, and Caroline Peru, Nutrition and Health Research Manager. Marilyn and Caroline, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our session where we will be talking about the consumer need for healthy aging and how we at Roquette can help provide the solutions to address this need. My name is Marilyn Lee. I am the head of marketing for Roquette in Asia. And together with me is Caroline Peru, who is our nutrition and health research manager. Let me start off with introducing to you our company, Roquette. Roquette is a global leader in plant-based ingredients. We are a French multinational company with a very strong foothold in Asia Pacific region. We believe that nature has the answer to provide people with the food, nutrition, and health that we need according to the different life stage that we may be at and according to the lifestyle choices that we have. Our raw materials are based on corn, wheat, potato, and pea. And as mentioned, we are a truly global company where we serve more than 100 countries worldwide with more than 8,000 employees, out of which more than 300 are dedicated to R&D. We support our customers in their product developments through our food application centers worldwide. But of course, to be closer to home, we have our food application centers here in Singapore, China, Japan, and in India. Let me share with you our agenda for today. First, I will share some statistics to show how the demographics in Asia is changing dramatically. Second, I will share what seniors, or what we call silver consumers' needs are of today. And lastly, introduce our Roquette ingredients, which can help our silver consumers' quest for healthy aging. Let me start off with some trivia. Did you know that for every second of every day, 2 people celebrate their 60th birthday worldwide? And that's 58 million celebrations of 60th birthdays annually. Also, did you know that in 2018, for the first time in history, people that are aged 65 years old and above have actually outnumbered children under 5 years of age globally? And lastly, did you know that Kaneta Naka, who is from Japan, holds the world's Guinness World Records for being the oldest person that have lived at the age of 119 years old? So what does all this trivia tell us? All this trivia point to the fact that the world is getting older and getting older faster. By 2015, 1/5 or 20% of the world's population will be 60 years old and above. And that is equivalent to 2 billion seniors. And to give you perspective, 2 billion is equivalent to roughly around the total population of China, US, and Indonesia combined. Now, with this global phenomenon of aging population, APAC is in fact at the forefront of it. Earlier, I shared that by 2050, 20% of the global population will be 60 years old and above. Now, in comparison, if we look at only APAC, that would be equivalent to 25% of the APAC population that would be 60 years old and above. This tells us that we are getting older faster than the rest of the world. Now, in this region, Japan and Korea are the two countries with the biggest proportion of seniors. In this chart on the left, the black bar represents the proportion of people that is aged 60 years old and above at the year of 2015, while the blue bar represents the proportion of the population that is aged 60 years old and above by the age of 2030. We can clearly see from this chart that there would be a huge jumps in the proportion for Korea, Thailand, China, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam. So what does healthy aging mean for the APAC consumers? In a recent survey conducted by Herbalife in 11 countries in Asia Pacific, consumers were asked how they define healthy aging. So 61% of them says it's about being mentally active and sharp. 57 says it's about being physically active. 56% says it's about not suffering from illness. But beyond these three, there are also more emotional or psychological needs, which are about being able to live freely and independent. And also surprisingly for Asians, 51% of says it's about not being a burden to one's family. So this is rightly so articulated by Hans Gosling, who is a TED Talk sensation. He said that the goal of our longer lives is not just extra time, but the ultimate goal is to have the freedom to do what we want. So for silver consumers to have this freedom to do what they want, what does it entail? What are their needs that needs to be addressed to have this freedom? One is about cognitive health or to be mentally active and sharp. For one to be mentally active and sharp, it can be about retaining good memory, having mental alertness, ability to stay focused, and ability to able to relax one's mind and also to be able to sleep well at night. Second is about mobility. It is about being able to move and continually stay active. It's not necessarily to do, full on sports, but just about to do your day-to-day activities like going out, taking a walk, running, traveling, climbing stairs, doing chores, and so on. It's about having that energy to do all these things, having good bone, joint, and muscle health, and of course, having good heart or cardiovascular health. Lastly, healthy aging is also about being healthy and not getting sick. And that is where immunity and gut health play the most important role. We are Roquette, we have a full portfolio for specialized nutrition. By specialized nutrition, we mean that we have the healthy ingredients that can meet the specific needs of specific consumer groups, such as infants, mothers to be, athletes, seniors, and so forth. So let's take the case for examples of mothers to be. Roquette, we have plant-based ingredients that can help the mothers make sure that their babies grow safely and healthily in their wombs, but also ingredients that can also provide them clean energy during this very tiring pregnancy period. So for today's presentation, we will be focusing on the senior nutrition as related to the healthy aging. Carolyn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marilyn, for this overview of the challenges of healthy aging. So now let's see in more detail how Roquette's ingredient can help. So concerning the mental activity and acuity, we have two different types of ingredients that can support. So the polyunsaturated fatty acids, so from plants. So we know from the literature that omega-6 and 3 are known to be constituent of membranes in blood vessels and neurons, inducing an important role in the preservation of neuronal functioning and also in brain development. Several health benefits were also demonstrated in link with the consumption of omega-3 and more especially the docosahexaenoic acid, so DHA, such as positive effect in the preservation of cognitive decline, such as senile dementia or Alzheimer's disease. There is also another important topic related to cognition with seniors. So we know that more than 50% of the senior population is affected by a decrease of sleep quality. And it's demonstrated that the lack of sleep dramatically diminish your mental acuity. And in a clinical trial, an academic team demonstrated that Nutriose soluble fiber improve sleep quality in obese women with type 2 diabetes. And I will show you in more details after that Nutriose has beneficial effect on the gut microbiota, and therefore its beneficial effects on sleep may be attributed to the gut-brain axis. For the second consumer need, which is to be able to move and be physically active, polyunsaturated fatty acids, so PUFAs, are also mentioned to be constituent of membranes in blood vessels. And they are really essential for normal function of the blood system and the heart, playing really a role in the cardiovascular disease prevention. So I will then explain you two different examples with more details. So the Neutralis P protein as a good candidate for sarcopenia prevention. And also in the context of being healthy and not getting sick, Nutriose soluble fiber as a probiotic can have interesting effects. So let's start with protein and muscle. So you know that maintaining an independent lifestyle at an advanced age largely defines the quality of life of seniors. And one major challenge in the aging population is really to slow down the decline in muscle mass and strength that can lead to sarcopenia and gradual loss of autonomy. And in the literature, it's demonstrated that a low protein intake can contribute to the development of sarcopenia. And it led us to the notion of anabolic resistance with aging. Anabolic resistance is defined by a blunted stimulation of muscle protein synthesis rates because of several possible factors, such as the insulin resistance, the inflammation, the inactivity, the cardiovascular dysfunction, or the metabolic changes. It induces a reduced muscle protein synthesis to protein intake. And it can impact the muscle structure or function if the needs are not covered. And it's not possible to stop this process of aging, but there is solution that can be implemented to slow it down. Like, for example, for seniors, it's recommended to consume more protein and protein with a high nutritional quality, and also to combine it with regular physical activity. So to balance the protein intake towards premium nutritional quality plant-based protein, there is the Neutralis P protein. The metabolic fate of Neutralis P protein have been studied thanks to clinical and preclinical studies. And we know that approximately 94% of Neutralis is digested in the small intestine. And really a very low part is excreted in the feces or in the colon. And combining the high digestibility of pea protein with its well-balanced amino acid profile, we obtain high nutritional quality with values of two different indexes that are really high. So with the PDCAS, protein digestible corrected amino acid score, and the digestible indispensable amino acid score that are really high with our Neutralis P protein. And we have also conducted a clinical study in the context of muscle mass development with the objective of evaluating the effect of 50 grams of Neutralis P protein supplementation combined with 12-week resistance training program. And all this in comparison with whey protein. And the BISTES brachy thickness was measured using ultrasonography at the beginning, at the middle, and after 12-week supplementation with Neutralis. And the graph that you can see there represents the thickness evolution. As you can see, in all groups, we have a significant increase of the thickness as a result of the muscular training. And with the selection of volunteers with less muscularly developed capacity, we demonstrated a significant difference between the neutralist group and the control group. And on the other hand, there were no significant difference highlighted in the study between the whey group and the control group. Consequently, neutralist pea protein can be considered really as a useful tool for muscle mass development. To further our investigation into solution for muscle mass deficiency, we looked at the link between the tastes and nutrition for elderly population. And the observational studies that we have carried out with elderly people living in retirement home, they consumed every 2 days over 3 weeks an apple compote that was enriched with Roquette nutriose fiber and also with neutralis protein that were offered at lunch. And the objective was to evaluate the perception of the hedonic qualities of these compotes and also the change in this perception due to the repeated consumption. And the graphs that you can see there show that the compote was judged rather pleasant to very pleasant by 91% of the volunteers, and that this rating was maintained at 79% after 3 weeks. So it really suggests that this enriched compote is an appropriate form of protein supplementation in the diets of elderly people that have specific nutritional needs. And both studies suggest that Neutralis may be a good candidate for sarcopenia, which is an area of research that we are still investigating. And on another end, we know that aging can also impact the gut microbiota. In the course of aging, there is a deterioration in the gut physiology that can affect the intestinal microbiota composition, creating a dysbiosis, so meaning an imbalance in the gut microbiota composition. Also, a decrease of the bacteria diversity, a decrease of the level of beneficial metabolites, of the barrier function, and an increase of the gut inflammation. And all this resulting in a decline of immune function and therefore an increasing risk of infections. To support a good composition of microbiota is key to keep the gut healthy. And as I mentioned before, the age can influence the composition of the microbiota. But there is also factors that can have an impact, like the medication and also the diet, especially the fiber that you take. Fibers are well-known macronutrients that contribute to gut health. Because of their structure, they are not digested in the small intestine, but they are completely or partially fermented in the colon. And this process is called the colonic fermentation and induce a modulation of the composition of the microbiota and also the overall colonic environment with, for example, the production of short-chain fatty acid, which are beneficial metabolites with well-known health benefits. And these fibers, when they demonstrate specific utilization by gut microbiota and also health benefits, they can be recognized as prebiotic based on the last scientific definition. And remind that most of prebiotics are dietary fibers, but not all dietary fibers are prebiotic. They really need to be utilized by host microorganisms and to confer a health benefit to be recognized as a prebiotic. And in this context, so Roquette proposed nutriose, which is a soluble fiber. And we have also evaluated the metabolic fate of nutriose thanks to preclinical and clinical studies. We know that 15% of nutriose is digested into glucose by the human enzyme in the small intestine, and that most of nutriose is fermented in the colon, and only 10% is excreted in the feces. And the direct consequence of the fermentation can also be the digestive tolerance, which can be seen as negative. However, it's really a logical consequence of the activity of the bacteria in the colon. And these digestive symptoms really depends on the type of fiber and also the rates of its fermentation. And with nutriose, we have evaluated its digestive tolerance thanks to short and long-term clinical studies. And we have demonstrated really an outstanding digestive tolerance with a digestive tolerance threshold, so which is the dose with no side effects like flatulence, bloating, or diarrhea at 45 grams per day, and the laxative tolerance threshold, which is the dose with the first diarrhea observed, that is higher than 100 grams per day for nutriose. And we talked a little bit about the prebiotic, but in the literature, it's demonstrated that this prebiotic play a crucial role in boosting immune system. Thanks to the microbiota modulation, they help to fight against pathogen. So with the competition between the bacteria and the pathogen in the gut. And also this microbiota modulation leads to the production of beneficial metabolites that can have an impact in immune cell and that can also reinforce the gut barrier and reduce the intestinal inflammation. And all these direct or indirect effects contribute to support the immune system and also the homeostasis in the gut, and therefore it contributes to a good gut health. Thanks to preclinical and clinical trials, we already demonstrated that nutriose promotes specific and useful bacteria in the gut. It has an overall impact on the gut environment and gut activity with specifically the production of short-chain fatty acid. It modulates some immune cell response and inflammatory biomarkers with an increase of anti-inflammatory biomarkers and a decrease of pro-inflammatory biomarkers. And it also reinforces the gut barrier. Therefore, nutriose answers to the scientific definition of a prebiotic. And as a prebiotic with demonstrated immunomodulatory properties, it may support the immune system. And as a prebiotic fiber, it contributes to good gut health. So with all this beneficial effect in the gut, it may help elderlies that suffer from gut microbiota dysbiosis and their consequences. I give you the floor, Marilyn, for the conclusion.
Thank you, Caroline, for sharing the details about nutriose and its link to gut and immunity, and of course, how our Nutrilis is a good candidate for sarcopenia prevention. So in conclusion to our presentation, I would like to summarize our presentation in 4 key points. First is that the number of older people in APAC is rising at an unprecedented rate, and APAC is at the forefront of the global phenomenon of population aging. Secondly, while the population aging is a challenge, it can also be seen as an opportunity because elderly people will have new needs that arise and therefore they need new products and services, and this will open up a new market. Thirdly, silver consumers' needs center around 3 main areas: cognition, mobility, and general health. Lastly, Roquette has a diverse portfolio of plant-based ingredients that addresses not just their health concerns, but also deliver pleasurable eating experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Marilyn and Caroline. We can now take some questions, and we have the first one. Can you tell us more about the gut-brain axis demonstrated effects of nutriose?
Yes, of course, I will take the question. So, you know that the gut has been referred to as the second brain. And we know that the microbiota within the gut play a role in the overall brain function. So by affecting the hormones, the neurotransmitters, the cytokines, or the short-chain fatty acids that we mentioned just before, they act via the immune, endocrine, or vagal pathway or other pathway. And as a prebiotic, as we detailed, Nutriose has beneficial effect on the gut health, on the gut microbiota composition and the environment. And we have also other studies, so with Nutriose, that highlighted an effect on the cognition, such as on stress and on intestinal gluconeogenesis. And the impact on the gut may explain the effect of Nutriose on blood glucose management and satiety via this gluconeogenesis pathway. And we also have a study so a clinical trial related to sleep quality that was done by academic team in Europe. And they demonstrated that Nutriose has a beneficial effect on sleep quality indicators. And its beneficial effect may be attributed to the activation also of the gut-brain pathway via the production of serotonin, and thereby they affect the sleep quality.
Thank you, Caroline. So we have the second question coming up. What is the lowest tested dosage of Nutriose in clinical studies dedicated to gut health? So who would like to take this question?
I will also take this question, which is really a good question that is often asked. So as we shared today, and as I mentioned just before, Nutriose helps support the gut balance with a positive shift of the microbiota composition. And the lowest tested dosage that demonstrated beneficial effect on this microbiota composition is 8 grams per day of Nutriose consumed during 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you again, Caroline. And one more. Yeah. When does healthy aging become a need for consumers?
I'll take that question. So actually, that's a very good question. Typically, when we think about healthy aging, we think about seniors. But the truth of the matter is consumers start to think about healthy aging much earlier than we think. In a recent survey, actually a survey that was conducted this year by Innova with global consumers from all ages, meaning from 18 years old all the way up to 55 years old and above, they were asked at what age did they start to take actions to age healthily. And the highest answer given was from the age of 30, followed by from the age of 40. Furthermore, when consumers were asked, what has driven or influenced you to live a healthier lifestyle? The answer with the highest response was, I want to feel well, followed by, I want to age well. So these survey results are very insightful because they tell us that when it comes to healthy aging, we actually have a much bigger consumer base, and therefore we can, and actually we should be expanding our audience to beyond just the seniors.
Thank you, Marilyn. Okay, we have time for one or two more questions. Next one, what are the other health benefits demonstrated by Nutriose?
So I take this one. So as you saw, muscular is really an important topic for our Nutralis pea protein, especially for seniors, but also for sportsmen or women. And it's not the only health benefit demonstrated in clinical study. We also highlighted beneficial effects of our protein on blood glucose management and on satiety. And if you want to know more, don't hesitate to have a look to the Roquette website.
Okay, thank you. Last question here. Among the different needs of silver consumers that you mentioned, which ones are the most important to them or trending?
Okay, I'll take this one. Globally, what we found out is that among age-related claims in food and beverage globally, immune health and gut health are the top claims. Now, in Asia, excluding Oceania, this is followed by heart health and then bone health. And then for Oceania specifically, this is followed by brain health and then heart health.
Thank you, Marilyn and Caroline. Next up, we have two speakers from BioSpringer. Chen is Product Manager and Kevin is Culinary Center Manager. They will touch on salt and sugar reduction in the Asia-Pac region. In recent years, this topic has been gaining a lot of attention due to an overall increase in health consciousness among consumers. Bichen and Kevin, please.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. I am Bichen, the Product Manager from BioSpringer APAC, and I have with me Kevin, the Culinary Center Manager from BioSpringer. Today, we are pleased to share with you our presentation on the topic of salt and sugar reduction in APAC. Our mission in BioSpringer is to create innovative and natural origin ingredients from yeast fermentation that make food tastier and healthier while being reliable and respectful to the planet and people. As you can see, BioSpringer has a global and regional presence or taste market expertise. We do have facilities around the world, including 8 production plants, 1 R&D center, 5 culinary center, and sales team in all the region. We are based in Singapore, taking care of the APAC market. We have very strong technical know-how through culinary center, as we are very close to the market and being able to identify and tailor-make solutions to our customers, close to their expectation through new formulation as well as innovation. To give you a quick overview of the simple process of how we get the yeast extract, first, a specific yeast strain is selected to undergo yeast fermentation. This process is conducted under regular growing condition, a glucose source, a monitored temperature, and a sufficient oxygen supply. These conditions are essential for the efficient growth and multiplication of the yeast population. After fermentation, the yeast will go through breakage stage. Breakage induces a solubilization of the yeast cell content. This one uses the heat and the own enzyme naturally present in the yeast cell without any addition. So after the breakage stage, the yeast will go through the separation with centrifugation that separates the cell wall and its content that is known as yeast extract. Yeast extract contains specific compounds like amino acid, peptides, and nucleotides, and that is very important for the taste improvement in the final applications. After separation, we move downstream with different processes such as evaporation, concentration, and spray drying to obtain the final commercial form of yeast extract, such as powder, paste, and liquid form. And thanks to the long-established yeast extract technologies and innovation by BioSpringer, we have an integrated portfolio of yeast extract solutions to support our end customers in creating indulgent and, most importantly, healthy food and beverages. As you can see, we have a total number of 5 product ranges, including Springer Must, Springer Review, Springer Umami, Springer Cocoon, and Springer Signature. These different product ranges contain different types of yeast extract that allow us to provide localized and tailor-made solutions to our customers. Now, let me bring you through the market insight for health and wellness in APAC. In recent years, focus on health and wellness becomes the top of mind in APAC. On average, 54% of APAC consumers said that they have started eating healthier food, with the trend most evident in Vietnam, 78%, Indonesia, 75%, and Philippines, 73%. There are 2 key health and wellness trend drivers in APAC. First is reductionism, where consumers are avoiding or reducing the consumption of bad ingredients such as sugar, fat, and salt. And secondly is naturalism, where consumers are seeking natural or clean label products to artificial ingredients. For today's webinar, we will only be focusing on reductionism. As we deep dive into reductionism, one focus area will be on salt reduction. WHO recommends a sodium intake of less than 2 grams per day, which is equivalent to 5 grams or a teaspoon of salt. But according to World Action on Salt, Sugar and Health, consumers in APAC are consuming too much salt, on average of 9 to 12 grams daily, or twice the recommended maximum level of intake, and this actually putting themselves at a greater risk of cardiovascular disease or stroke. Therefore, APAC countries in the region have been looking into salt reduction strategies to address this concern. Some examples of government initiatives include in India, the authorities launched a Eat Right India movement in 2018 to urge people to reduce the salt, sugar, and fat intake. And then in Singapore, the government also launched a Healthier Choice Symbol program to serve as a consumer guide to incorporate healthier options into their diet. Besides this, lower sodium products such as K-salt was also introduced by the government in the supermarket chain. In South Korea, the government introduced a new labeling standard in 2021, starting with ramen or instant noodle, which requires a 10% sodium or salt reduction. In addition, the government also introduced low sodium meal service week in restaurants to encourage sodium reduction. In Japan, the Japanese Society of Hypertension has announced 17th of each month is the salt reduction day, and the government also released a national education campaign called -2 gram to encourage salt reduction. And lastly is a discussion in Thailand on the upcoming salt tax on salty and processed food. Besides government-led initiatives, the food industry has also strived to improve innovation through product reformulation. As we can see from the graph on the left, there's a growing demand for F&B launch, tracked with salt reduction claim with a CAGR growth of 9% from 2018 to 2022. And one potential solution identified for salt reduction recipe is yeast extract. Yeast extract has been established as a salt substitution with 69% F&B launch from 2018 to 2022. Use yeast extract as an ingredient for products tracked with salt reduction claim in reference to Innova Insights. Now I will hand over to Kevin to explain to you how Biospringer yeast extract can help in salt reduction recipe.
Thank you, Pichen. Salt is one of the fundamental elements that unites all cuisine in the world. With the right amount, salt brings food to life. Without a doubt, salt plays an important role in the culinary space, especially in the savory categories such as soup and broth, snack and seasoning, sauces and dressing, processed meat and seafood, meat and seafood analogs, and even dairy analogs. Salt comes in many shapes and forms. One of the most commonly used in the food industry is sodium chloride, which makes up 40% of sodium. The human body requires a small amount of sodium to conduct nerve impulses, muscle activities, as well as maintains of the proper balance of water and minerals. Overconsumption of sodium intakes will lead to complicated health illnesses, such as high blood pressures, which is major risk factors for the heart disease and stroke. Saltiness is a taste produced primarily by the sodium ions and other ions of alkaline metal groups. This salty taste is mediated by the presence of epithelial sodium channels. Salt also helps to enhance other flavors such as savory notes and even balances the sweetness in the food matrices. With the right amount of salt, cheese can have more body and fullness, and even meat can be juicier and tastier. Apart from flavor enhancer, the amount of salt also greatly affects the final texture of bakery products, especially yeast breads. It strengthens the gluten bonds, alters the protein structures, and slows down the yeast fermentation. Salt also known to work as natural preservatives by altering the availability of water in the food matrices, which depriving microbes from using available water as its nutrient. The growth of spoilage microbes is impeded when present of salt. Another functionality of salt is to act as binders in the processed meat applications. It restructures the proteins, which helps act as bindings and emulsifying agent. The new protein structure supports to hold the products together and prevents the moisture and fat loss. At the same time, the presence of salt helps to promote and maintains color and prevent it from turning gray. As what Mitchell has shared on the market insight, consumers are getting more health conscious when it comes to food selections. Convenience and healthier options with the pleasure of taste will be one of the key decision factors for the consumers. With all these government initiatives on the salt reduction, lower daily sodium consumption without compromising on taste will be preferred option by the consumers. How these consumer demands and market trends impacts to the food industry, there are some technical challenges that we summarize over here. How to maintain the original taste and product quality when reformulation is required to meet the healthier options. With this, it's more likely to incur additional costs of the raw materials in the reformulations. Other challenges also include causes food safety concerns such as food spoilage and lost desirable properties in the specific food applications such as cheese or processed food. And how our solutions Brinjal Umami range can support on addressing the salt reduction challenges. The key benefits are to maintain the original taste and flavor profiles for salt-reduced recipe. With the unique and complex taste profiles from the yeast extract, is able to achieve by providing high umami sensations, reinforces savory perceptions, intensify the overall richness and taste profiles, and lastly, deliver long-lasting performance when salt is reduced in the recipe. Yeast extract also synergizes with other salt ingredients and flavor enhancer by complementing well with all these ingredients to achieve better complexity and elevates the flavor profile without compromising on the taste. It helps to neutralize the off notes such as bitter, metallic, and mineral notes that's coming from the salt ingredients such as potassium chloride. Lastly, the characteristics of yeast extract are natural and clean label ingredients, vegetarians and vegan friendly, halal, non-GMO, and most importantly is coming from sustainable source. How does Brinjal Umami range work in taste sensations? It has a complex composition of amino acids, nucleotides, and peptides. They work synergistically with other ingredients in the food matrix to deliver strong and long-lasting umami taste sensations. With this, it helps the food manufacturer to achieve salt reduction up to 30%. Please find below for the umami temporal graph, or also called time intensity graph for umami attributes, for the non-enriched yeast extract and Brinjal umami range done by the global sensory teams with our expert panelists. By comparing both, Brinjal umami range able to achieve a much higher peak, which is also called maximum umami intensity that observed during the evaluations. Besides, the total duration of times lasts longer, which represent the long-lasting sensation as compared to the non-enriched yeast extract. Every undercurve also represents overall umami sensation, or mouthfulness is also richer compared to the non-enriched yeast extract. Curious to find out more how about the Brinjal umami range helps in the salt reductions formulation? Please scan the QR code below to retrieve the recipe sheet. In these technical leaflets, you will have an overview of Brinjal umami range, and most importantly, how our culinary team uses the Brinjal umami range in various salt-reduced recipes. Includes 20% salt reduction in Vietnamese beef pho, 30% salt reduction in chicken mushroom soup, and 40% salt reduction in cheese flavored chips. We hope that with this recipe in place, able to help you visualize how our Brinjal umami range being your health partner in salt reduction. I'll pass back to Richard to share with you more on the sugar reduction.
Thank you, Kevin. So besides salt reduction, another focus area will be on sugar reduction. The daily sugar consumption per WHO guideline should not exceed 50 grams, or to control the sugar intake below 10% of the daily total energy intake. As high sugar intake is linked to health-related consequences such as increased risk of obesity and diabetes, there is a growing awareness within APEC consumers led by Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia to reduce the consumption, therefore trying to adhere to the WHO guideline. APEC countries within the region have been looking into sugar reduction strategies to address this concern. Some examples of the government initiatives include implementing sugar tax on sugary beverages in countries like India, Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, and Brunei, mandatory nutritional labeling called the NutriGrade in Singapore, as well as Healthy China 2030 initiative to reduce the daily sugar intake from 30 grams to 25 grams in China. In recent years, the number of products launched with sugar reduction claim continues to grow with a 15% CAGR in APEC. Besides beverages, sauces and dressing was observed to be a growing category for sugar reduction in APEC with a CAGR of 22%, between 2018 to 2022, with at least 6 in 10 consumers perceive the importance of sugar reduction in their sauces, syrups, and dressings. Therefore, a stronger focus in this area would generate growth opportunity within sauces and dressing category. Now, I will hand over to Kevin to explain to you how biospringer yeast extract can help in sugar reduction recipe.
Thank you, Richard. Sugar is another essential element that's surrounded in our daily life. All food naturally contains some sugars and it provides fuel for us to function. The flavor of food is highly influenced by sugar. Today, let's look into the sugar reduction in the savory segments, especially in sauce and dressing. You'll be surprised some of the sauces such as tomato, chili, teriyaki sauce, they contain more than 30% of sugar in the formulations. The functional properties of sugar in this kind of application not only imparts the primary taste, sweetness, but provide mouthfeel, body, and fullness, and at the same time balance the other taste profiles in the end applications. Sweetness improves the palatability of food. With a touch of sugar, it expands and complements the food flavors and makes them more delicious, but not necessarily sweet taste. Sugar also critical ingredients for the reactions such as Maillard reactions and caramelization. The Maillard reaction is extremely complex reaction process that starts with reactions between amino acids and reducing sugars with the addition of heat to generate unique flavors for meat, baked foods, and many more. Caramelization occurs when sugar is heated to a certain temperature to give nice sweet brown and caramelized flavors. The hygroscopic nature of sugars plays a crucial role in reducing water activity in food, which helps in preserving and extending the shelf life of food products. Another challenge for food manufacture will be how can we reduce sugars while maintaining the sweetness and without sacrificing the sensorial experience and also minimizing the overall impacts on mouthfeel, body, and fullness. Also, it requires extra efforts and times to introduce the new ingredients or alternative sweetness tools in the reformulations. These ingredients may potentially bring some off notes such as lingering, bitter, and metallic. Similar to reformulations for soap reductions, is also potentially incur additional costs on reformulation. How our solutions springer reveal range to support on reformulations on sugar reduced recipe. First, it helps to minimize the impacts on mouthfeel from the loss of sugar by providing more rounded and balanced body with the complex amino acid profile coming from yeast extracts. Often the case, sugar reduced recipe will lose its upfront sugary and rich body. Springer reveal range is able to compensate this loss of these parts. When working in combinations with different sweeteners such as stevia glycoside, monk fruit extracts, or even some artificial sweeteners such as aspartame K, it can complement them by neutralizing its off notes like lingering, bitter, and metallic. Lastly, it can support in intensifying and harmonizing the taste while maintaining consumer sensorial expectations. Interested to explore how Springer Reveal works in sugar-reduced recipe? Please scan the QR codes to download our technical leaflets, which includes an overview of Springer Reveal range, 40% sugar reduction in chili sauce, and 50% sugar reduction in teriyaki sauce. These extracts make sugar reduction possible in sauces and dressing segment. Biospringer yeast extract and yeast-based ingredients are 100% vegan, natural, GMO-free, kosher, and halal certified. To sum up, thanks to the taste benefits of yeast extract, it helps to improve the taste profiles of various recipes to support healthier formulations such as salt and sugar reductions, as covered today, and clean label formulations as our products are organic and coming from sustainable source. Lastly, yeast extract also has capability on off-note masking that could help in the development of tasty vegan and vegetarian products. Thank you for your time and attention today. I hope we provide you a good picture of how yeast extract can be your health partner when it comes to sugar and salt reduction. Lastly, if you have missed scanning the both QR code earlier, You may scan and screenshot it or even contact us for more information. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.
All right, thank you, Bichan and Kevin. We have a few questions for you. The first one is, apart from salt and sugar reduction, what are the other benefits of using yeast extract?
Thank you, Audrey. I can take these questions. So other than salt and sugar reductions that we covered today, so yeast extracts have other functionalities such as taste improvement with different range of our products. So just to name two, Springer Mask range, it helps to neutralize the off notes coming from sweeteners such as bitterness, metallics, and unwanted lingering off note, and even from plant proteins such as beanie, earthy, starchy, and meaty. And another ones that I would like to share with you today is Springer's Signature range. So it helps to bring specific flavor notes into the applications, such as meaty, cook, brown, and cheese notes to resemble the authentic taste profile into the end applications. So if you'd like to find out more about our entire product range, please feel free to visit our webpage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. The next question is something I'm sure many are interested in. It's about trend projections. So what is the health and wellness trend projection in APAC post-pandemic?
Okay, thank you, Audrey. I think I can take this question. So it's no surprise that the world is changing due to the pandemic, and reimagining food in line with health and wellness has become more evident and important than ever before. So according to Innova, in Asia, health and well-being continues to be a prioritized investment, with about 71% consumers intending to actually increase their spending on health and wellness over the next 12 months. Therefore, the health and wellness trends is predicted to stay in Asia Pacific for the coming 1 to 2 years. So I hope this answers to your question.
Thank you very much, Bichan. Another question coming up. Can yeast extract be used in sugar reduction for beverage applications?
My answer is yes, but it must be used in combinations with the sweeteners in the beverage applications by neutralizing the off notes such as the lingerings and bitter attributes. And at the same time, it also supports in improving the body and mouthfeel at some extent. So the dosage that I'll recommend over here for beverage application would be about 0.1% or less than that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another one about yeast extracts. How has yeast extracts progressed under current health and wellness trends? What is the outlook for the yeast extracts considering the current health and wellness trend?
Okay, I think I will answer this question. So yeast extract as an ingredient solution continues to present itself as a valuable consideration to support reformulation strategy in food and beverages. In healthier products such as the salt-reduced formulas, the use of yeast extract has currently contributed up to 69% of the new product launches featuring low, no, or reduced sodium claims within the health and wellness market. So leveraging its unique natural composition and versatility, yeast extract offers a competitive advantage to build customer focus as well as satisfies the demand on other health and wellness aspects such as naturalism, which is the clean label demand, as well as the reductionism, which is referring to the salt and sugar reduction demand. So just to share some opportunity areas from our product offering, we do have product from Springer Review range that can help in sugar reduction recipe, as well as products from Springer Umami range that helps in the salt reduction recipes. So I hope this answers to your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One last question here. Any solutions for salt reduction beyond 30%?
I would say it's definitely a challenge for the industry to go beyond 30% salt reductions without any deviations from the original taste of the full salt recipe. So in my opinion, I would recommend using a combination of some of the key tools, including the umami range, yeast extract that we shared today, and salt flavor enhancer, and also alternative salts such as potassium chloride to optimize the full spectrum of the sensorial experience from the upfront till the back ends and even after taste. So depending on the applications and concept developed, you may also consider increasing some other ingredients, for example, curry or pasta concepts with the strongest spice and creamy elements to elevate the entire flavor profiles. So if you require some technical advice from us, please feel free to contact us, and we are happy to share our experience with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bijan and Kevin. Now we have Eric Chia, Solution Consultant from Infor. He will be touching on the hot topic of food and beverage trends, as well as how brands will further lean on cloud-based solutions to meet consumers' demands. Let's hear it from him.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Chia. I'm a solution consultant in Infor. And for today, I will be sharing with you the latest developments and emerging trends in the food and beverage industry. Right. So, a lot of things happened in the last few years. The pandemic, the Suez Canal being blocked, extreme weather, Ukraine-Russian war, and so on. So some of these events, their effects on us were temporary for only when they happen. But some others have actually changed how we live. And when I say we, I don't only mean we as individuals. We here also means companies, organizations, industries, and so on. So changes and disruptions are the new normal, and we are going to see more of it. The food and beverage industry will need to explore new avenues for products, sourcing, and technology to become better equipped for the unexpected. The industry has been greatly affected by consumer preferences in the last decade, which has catalyzed and forced businesses to innovate quicker than ever. Food and beverage organizations will also further lean on cloud-based solutions to get to the next level and scale their businesses to meet consumer demand while addressing the pressures of supply chain instability and climate change. So following are some trends that we think food and beverage organizations should be aware of. Innovation is something that has and will always be there in the food and beverage industry. But what we have now is that this innovation is happening at a very rapid pace and faster than ever. For existing products, innovations include swapping out ingredients, sourcing from alternative suppliers, decreasing pack sizes, and so on. All these are because of material shortages, price increases, disruptions to supply chain, and so on. But the main focus for accelerated food innovation is on new product development. Historically, manufacturers have always needed to periodically come up with new products. They needed to do that to stay relevant and, most importantly, to keep up with consumer preferences that keep evolving. Many years ago, people were moving towards organic food, gluten-free food, and so on. Now we have consumers looking for protein alternatives such as plant-based meat or lab-grown meats or synthetic dairy. Other examples include consumers who are now increasingly interested in foods that offer health benefits beyond basic nutrition. They look for functional foods and ingredients that support gut health or boost immunity. These trend changes are what I would categorize as conventional trend changes that happen due to time. And these trend changes will continue to happen. However, consumer demands also change for other reasons. For example, recent changes to weather with extreme heat and cold has consumers looking for food to help them to stay cool in extreme heat or stay warm during cold spells. Food and drink can support consumers as they adapt to the realities of living with climate change. And it's not only during those temperature spikes, but also during weather-related disasters such as catastrophic floods, which would require more shelf-stable foods and long-life emergency food to help people stock up and be prepared. Another example is where rising energy costs has gotten consumers looking for food and drinks that use less energy to store or prepare, such as food that can be prepared using microwave or air fryer instead of the conventional oven, which uses a lot of energy. So these are just some examples of how frequent and how rapid the demand changes for food and beverage consumers. Manufacturers must be able to innovate fast in order to be able to keep up or risk being left behind. But new product development is easier said than done. There are a lot of steps to go from ideation and concept of a product to the product being actually sold to consumers. From the initial idea, you have to go through the design, then development of the formula and the label. Along the way, you will need to ensure that the product meets all the specifications, fall within budget, and complies to all the guidelines and restrictions for the ingredients and label. And I'm talking about all the different guidelines and restrictions for all the countries it will be sold at. The entire process involves many departments where they need to collaborate with each other, constantly referring to common documents and many approval steps before the product gets the final sign-off for launch. The process is definitely very complicated, long, and tedious. To help our customers for their new product development, as well as updating the formula for existing products, we have our Info PLM or Product Lifecycle Management to help. Having a team of capable food scientists is of course very important, but product lifecycle is not just about the food scientists and the formulation they come up with. Many departments, including R&D, sales, marketing, operations, and quality, need to contribute, interact, and collaborate with each other. This can only be achieved by having them working on a single system, which would also eliminate repetitive work, resulting in product development taking less time and at lower cost, while significantly reducing risk. Fundamentally, you need the tools to enable your R&D team to create and manage recipe, while also having the insights to be able to regularly optimize the formulas in light of changing costs. The collaboration between all the departments enables you to deliver the speed to market needed. At Keurig Dr. Pepper, Info PLM helped them to bring new products to the market easier and faster. They were able to develop new products faster using the best possible formulation, while at the same time maintain full compliance. For this full compliance, I'm not only talking about compliance in formulation to ensure it meets the specifications, guidelines, and restrictions. This full compliance also includes labeling to ensure all the facts in the label are correct, including the ingredients list and nutrition table. Getting all the facts on the label correct is not an easy task, especially on the nutrition table, where all the nutrition facts from each ingredient need to be accumulated and rolled up to the product. Getting the facts wrong is disastrous, as there were companies who had to recall their products from the market because of wrong labeling. Now, we at Info are proud to say that all of our customers using Info PLM has never had a recall due to labeling. And talking about labels, that brings me to the next trend. Consumers, especially the newer generation, expect more information from the products they intend to buy. They want to know where their food comes from, how it was produced, are farmers and animals treated well? What are the environmental impacts? Is the manufacturer a sustainable company with ESG rating and so on? So there is an ask from consumers to know more from food and beverage manufacturers. And with that, manufacturers can also use this opportunity to tell their story with smart packaging, showing not only traceability, freshness, etc., but also to connect and interact with consumer in a digital way. There is a wealth of data that can be collected and analyzed and then be used in improving existing products and for new product innovation. Another thing is, consumers are also fatigued by so much information on labelings that they now prefer clean design with minimalist messaging that only focus on health benefits and natural ingredients that are integral to value. Consumers will look for brands that focus on their advantages on packaging and save the stories for websites, social media, and marketing. This is a win-win situation for everyone, as manufacturers can save on advertising and packaging design, while consumers can get all the information they want from other channels. GS1, a not-for-profit international organization, introduced an industry-wide standard called GS1 Digital Link, which makes it possible to print QR codes on the packaging, containing not only the standard identifiers like GTIN and retail price, but also URLs to business-to-consumer websites with product specifications and origin information of the purchased lot. Of course, this is only the technology that enables consumers to scan the QR code to retrieve the information they need. Food and beverage manufacturers would also need to have, those information, such as origin information, available to begin with. Movi is the world's largest producer of Atlantic salmon. All their products include a QR code based on GS1 digital link standard. When consumers scan this QR code, they get all the information regarding the salmon product's origin. Where was the salmon hatched? When was it moved from fresh water to salt water? When was it harvested, and so on? So how is that achieved? Movi works with the company Everything to manage that QR code front end. This solution from Everything is able to display all the trace data, expiry, and any other supporting information to consumers when they scan the QR code. But those data need to come from somewhere. So Movi has been using Info's ERP solution for many years and have recently upgraded to run on the cloud with our Info Cloud Suite Food and Beverage. Cloud Suite Food and Beverage is a solution built for F&B manufacturers with last mile capabilities built in to meet the requirements of food and beverage companies down until the sub-segments or micro vertical level. So Cloud Suite Food and Beverage is the back-end ERP that Movi is using, and it provides all the operational data, such as the expiry and trace information and other related data to Everything. With this, Movi's customers get all the full traceability that they want and the confidence that they seek. But between innovating new products and providing all the product transparencies to consumers, food and beverage companies need to manufacture and sell the products. For this, there is currently a rise in factory automation, where companies are using automation to streamline their production processes, increase productivity, and reduce costs. Automation can range from eliminating redundant data entry and streamlining workflows to adding image recognition with machine learning to automate labor-intensive tasks. Unemployment spiked during the pandemic, but it is very low now, which is good. But low unemployment is also a problem because food manufacturers need sufficient workers. Coupled with the fact that the new generation of workers is not looking for lifelong employment, but more interested in careers that align with their values, the global labor shortage has become a post-pandemic issue affecting the output of the food and beverage industry. Given the pressure to maintain supply with heightened demand, food and beverage organizations will need to invest in Industry 4.0 technologies to make up for the lack of employees. An example is using image recognition with machine learning, so robots can automate labor-intensive tasks that previously required human eyes and decisions, such as in sorting, grading, cutting, and slicing. Another example is in how automation technologies are being used to improve food safety, where sensors can be used to detect contaminants in food products, reducing the risk of foodborne illnesses. These technologies are transforming the industry by making it possible to produce food and beverage faster, safer, more consistently, and at a lower cost. Food and beverage organizations that embrace these new technologies sooner will likely become the future leaders in the space. But labor issue is not only in production, and it's affecting other areas in the company also. For example, in sales, where solid experience is required to be able to convince customers to provide customers with the best service. These experiences are gained from years of working and not easily learned by a new hire. Zealandia is a global player in the bakery ingredients business, whose customers are bakeries. In order to gain trust from these bakery customers, Zealandia has to be able to provide them with the right products and at the right price. Zealandia has a broad product portfolio and large customer base. And because of that, their salespeople used to spend around half an hour of prep work to come up with product recommendations before they meet with each customer. This is talking about seasoned salespeople with years of experience, with averagely 5 customers to meet every day. It takes each salesperson a lot of time to prep, and sometimes the recommendations are not accurate because some of these recommendations are not based on facts, but actually based on intuition. This resulted in a number of lost sales. Now, Zealandia is using Inforce AI with machine learning algorithm to crunch historical sales data to make 5 proposals per customer, ranked by probability of success. This dropped their salespeople's prep time for each customer from 30 minutes to 5 minutes, which is a staggering 83% improvement. Now it takes less time to prep for 5 customers to meet for the day than it was to prep for just 1 customer last time. So that was for product recommendation. For pricing, Zealandia used to work with a third-party company to create pricing strategies per customer. Zealandia had to spend time to educate them, feeding them information such as purchasing behavior, which the third-party company can then analyze to determine the price per item across customers. The results are then delivered back to Zealandia via spreadsheets. This method is outdated, time-consuming, and costly. And the spreadsheets also didn't provide insights as to why a product was priced that way to a customer. So what Zealandia did was they applied the same concept of AI product recommendation to pricing. With that, they were able to provide competitive pricings while at the same time meet profitability goals. Salesperson understands why products was priced and able to explain to customer to make more intelligent decisions when negotiating price. With this AI pricing recommendation, Zealandia saw improvements in customer loyalty, retention, and service. Another area that Zealandia uses AI and machine learning is for their strategic sales or marketing, where it is used to recommend better target customers for marketing promotion or sales campaign. They are able to better push new products or to clear products with excessive inventory or products that are soon to expire. So Info AI and machine learning are used as a tool to help Zealandia make better decisions. And this intelligence gets better and more accurate over time, with more data to train the AI or machine learning model. To address the labor shortage issue, rising costs, and to increase productivity, companies are investing in Industry 4.0 for automation. This is just one example of using AI for automation during the sales process. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are actually 2 of the most exciting trends in the food and beverage industry and will be more heavily adopted for businesses in the cloud. They can be used in every area of a typical food and beverage company. Example in R&D, where it can help to come up with an optimized formulation to minimize costs and still meet all the requirements. In production, machine learning can take data collected from IoT devices to optimize production settings in order to maximize yield. Machine learning can also be used to predict potential production equipment failure so that ad hoc maintenance can be scheduled to prevent any sudden equipment breakdown. In sales, I talked about how Zealandia used AI and machine learning to recommend products and price to their customers. So let me share another real-life example of how our customer is using AI and machine learning. Amalthea is the largest goat cheese manufacturer in the Netherlands and selling to more than 35 countries. The challenge for any dairy manufacturer is that milk composition varies across farms and seasons. As such, there's no standard formula that can be applied across all milk batches to achieve consistent yield and quality. Close monitoring and steering of the cheese production process is required to create cheese consistency so that customers stay loyal and for Amalthea to maximize yield potential. For each of its cheese batches, Amalthea used to set a target yield based on the practical or past knowledge of production. When the cheese batch deviated from the target yield or the right target yield wasn't set, factory operators had to take action and make changes to production to make the process more efficient. In the past, production issues were identified by manually processing data and analyzing it on a weekly basis. With approximately 240,000 liters of milk processed each day, it was not optimal to wait a week or sometimes even a month to get insights and make necessary system changes to optimize yield. Today, Amartya uses Info AI and machine learning to analyze the yield, identify deviations, and provide contributors faster and more accurate than humans. The output from the analysis equips business users with fast and real-time visibility to review and understand what the deviations are and why they are happening. They can then take the necessary actions to help improve the cheese-making process. These actions will also help to stabilize the process for future manufacturing orders and minimize the variations as the results are taken into consideration for future analysis by the machine learning model. Amartya is now 7 times faster in identifying yield deviations. For every 1% increase in yield, Amartya expects to save approximately €500,000 as they also reduce waste. Reducing waste is one of the multiple efforts that Amartya is doing to be a sustainable company. Talking about being a sustainable company, that brings me to the next trend, which is sustainability. To be honest, sustainability is something that every company should take into account for every activity that they embark on. Sustainability has been a buzzword for quite a few years now, mainly due to the extreme weather that we are seeing. For many decades, we have had great economic developments. Unfortunately, those great economic developments were with the expense of equal or greater ecological damage. The world needed to find a way to harmonize ecology with prosperity. But it's not an easy task, with human population still continuing to grow, although at a slower rate. We reached 8 billion in November last year, and it is forecasted that we will reach 10 billion in 2057. At this rate, by 2050, we need to produce 60% more food to feed a population of 9.3 billion. We won't be able to do that if we continue with our current methods of farming, producing, processing, and distributing, where roughly 1/3 of all food produced is thrown away. That's around 1.2 billion tons of food every year. One of the major contributors to this food waste is in the dates printed on products. I'm talking about the best before date, use by date, expiry date, and so on. Manufacturers determine these dates, and to mitigate against potential health and safety risks, they always tend to be on the conservative side, meaning they would put a shorter date. Consumers are also not helping by always buying food with the furthest date, even when they will consume the food soon. This would result in those food near expiry being left on the shelf and in the end get discarded when the date reaches, contributing to waste. Many actions are being done to overcome this, including some retailers scrapping best before dates on products, especially on food, fruit, and vegetables. Consumers are expected to use their own judgment by touching, smelling, and tasting the food to decide whether it is good to eat or not. Other initiatives include using dynamic best before date. So instead of having a predetermined static date that is printed on the label, parameters are used to determine whether a product is fit to eat. The aim is to have accurate and extended best before date so as to reduce the chances of food being thrown away when they are still perfectly edible. This approach has shown some encouraging results with up to 25% less waste. One of the parameters that greatly affect food shelf life is temperature. The temperature of food during transport and storage is so important that even just a 1 degree Celsius increase in fridge temperature can shave a whole day off the life of some products. Swedish company Innocentia developed the technology in the form of analog labels with color indicators. These labels have sensors to detect microbial growth in single packages and provide color indication on the label. This way, consumers get real-time information on whether the food is good to eat or not. And this is normally longer than the predetermined static best before date. On the other hand, another company, Waste Less, is more focused on discounting, where the price of products are determined based on the product's expiration date. The nearer a product is to expiry, the cheaper that product becomes. This would entice consumers to buy products that are nearing expiry. At Info, what we do is we help food and beverage manufacturers to determine the use-by date of ingredients based on their quality attributes. This information is subsequently used to more accurately determine the best before date of the product produced. This as opposed to the conventional way where the date is determined based solely on when it was manufactured. With information of ingredients quality, the best before date of products can be confidently extended further, thus reducing waste. Another example of waste reduction is at Nutreco, another of Info's long-time customer. Nutreco is a global leader in animal nutrition and aquafeed. Their ultimate business goal is to double world food production while halving the footprint. In one of their projects with the local shrimp farmers, they deployed sensors to monitor conditions such as pH level, oxygen level, and freshness of the water to ensure optimal growth of the shrimps. Shrimps are very sensitive, and all those variables, even gravity and sunlight, can affect their growth and health. In addition, they also have advanced sonar technology to listen to the sound the shrimps make, letting them know when the shrimps are hungry. So this enables the farmers to feed only when necessary. Not only did that result in better yield of the shrimps, they achieved that with less waste as they used 30% less feed. Better yield with less feed. How can it get better than that? So sustainability is actually a huge topic, and it can be a session on its own, where Info has other efforts and capabilities to help our customers in their journey to be a sustainable company. So those were the 5 trends that we think food and beverage organizations should be aware of. In conclusion, the food and beverage industry is undergoing significant changes driven by technology, consumer preferences, and sustainability concerns. The 5 trends I discussed today are shaping the industry and influencing the products we see on store shelves. As consumers, we can expect to see more transparency, more innovation, and more sustainable products in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time for some questions, and here's the first one. Okay, you mentioned that Info has other efforts and capabilities to help customers to be a sustainable company. Can you share a little bit more on that?
Okay, I'll share 2 more things on how Info's solutions help in sustainability. So first of all, I mentioned about our solution Info PLM during the topic on accelerated innovation. So this solution has a stage gate process where ESG goals can be set up and used as qualification criteria to ensure those goals are met before moving to the next stage. And targets can be defined as requirements for the product development project. This will help to prioritize product developments that have a positive impact on the sustainability of the company. On top of that, sustainability parameters such as greenhouse gas emission and water use can be defined and maintained for ingredients and then rolled up to products. During formulation, users can compare the calculated sustainability parameters with other formulations to see the impact of changing an ingredient, packaging options, or supplier. The sustainability parameters can also be included in the product specification and label. Another area where Info solutions can help in sustainability is during planning. Sourcing from a new supplier, moving production between factories and production lines, or using different means of transport has environmental impact. During the planning phase, the planner normally looks into optimizing service levels and cost. But another criteria that should be considered is the environmental impact. Info demand planning, Info supply planning, and Info production scheduling are some of Info's best of breed planning solutions, which provide greater flexibility, capabilities, and advanced technologies, including machine learning. These solutions can take environmental impact into consideration for your whole supply chain planning.
Okay, thank you. Now, question 2. You talked about how new product development being the main focus for accelerated food innovation. But my R&D team spends a lot of time to update all our existing products because regulations keep changing. So one day it's stricter safety standards, another day it's new labeling laws. So can your solution help?
Right. So there are many reasons that existing products need to be updated, be it the formulation or the label. You mentioned regulation change. During my session, I mentioned about disruptions such as material shortages or price increases, which pushes manufacturers to review their formulation by swapping ingredients or sourcing from alternative suppliers and so on. Whatever the reason, updating an existing product is definitely not easy. What our solution can do is to provide automation in multiple areas where it matters most. Let me give you a few examples. First of all the specifications, guidelines, restrictions, as well as other parameters such as budget and sustainability that you want the formulation to respect can be defined into the solution. From there, whether there are changes to regulations or whether you want to change your formulation, you can get the solution to cross-check on whether anything is violated. For example, if a country changes one of its guidelines on the amount of sodium permitted, you can update that max sodium per 100 gram limit value into our solution. Then do a sweeping check against all your existing products. Information about which country your product are sold is available in the solution. So the sweeping check will only check against the affected products and will tell you whether any product is affected. If there is, then your formulation team can just focus on those products. And when they update the formulation for these products, the solution will help them to ensure that the new values are respected. So this would definitely improve the efficiency of your R&D team.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one last question, and here it is. Can you give any other examples of how companies are using Industry 4.0 to improve?
Okay, right. Sure. Okay, I'll give you one more example. So we have this customer based in the US. They are called Greenway Farms. They produce conventional and organic fruits and vegetables. And they are the world's largest producer of carrots. So they have 7 facilities. They have carrot processing plants, a juice plant, a frozen food facility, citrus packing shed, and multiple vegetable packing sheds. So naturally, they have a lot of assets. Now, they don't use Inforce ERP, but rather use our EAM or Enterprise Asset Management solution to maintain their assets to ensure that they run optimally, helping them to plan, schedule, and create the necessary work orders. It also helps them to plan for availability of spare parts. However, in order for Info EAM to plan correctly, data reading of assets need to be accurate. Taking farm equipment as an example, the data such as mileage, time in use, and so on are very important. Previously, they had to capture this data manually for each asset, which is not easy, given the number of assets that Greenway has, which is around 10,000. Greenway then deployed Trimble's telematics solution on their farm equipment to be able to track fleet usage, miles driven, time in use, together with location. So this data, combined with Info EAM, informs service engineers of predicted maintenance events, automatically creates work orders, and assists the engineer in locating the equipment for efficient servicing. And as a result, their maintenance costs went down and their equipment uptime improved. Yep.
Thank you, Eric. We have now come to the end of the webinar. The Q&A chat box will remain open for the next 5 minutes, so you can still key in any questions you may have, and we will respond to you individually. Have a nice day. Goodbye.